Four French policemen are accused of using a baton to sexually assault a young black man. It's caused protests in a small community outside Paris. Also headlining today, thousands have gathered in Barcelona in the last few hours to accompany the former Catalan president Artur Mas to court for his trial after he held that symbolic independence referendum back in 2014. And
do you respect Putin?
I do respect him.
Putin's a killer.
A lot of killers. We got a lot of killers. Why, you think our country's so innocent?
Donald Trump voices his respect for President Putin in an interview aired on Fox News Channel. A comment not sitting well with Western media outlets, though. Hi, just after 5 p.m. here in Moscow. Kevin Owen with you this hour. Thanks for choosing RT International wherever you're tuning in around the world. Disturbing story to start. 4 policemen have been accused of sexually assaulting a young man in a Paris suburb. A 22-year-old black man claims that he was beaten and raped by police officers who stopped him to check his ID. The moment of the alleged attack reportedly caught on CCTV. RT's Paris correspondent Charlotte Dubensky's got more.
The police took him here, right behind me. His blood, it's pretty much everywhere. Look, there's a lot of it. You can even see here, on this black mark, his handprint. This is the place where everything happened.
The 22-year-old was taken to the local police station where he complained of bleeding. At this point, the police sought medical attention for the man, and when he was examined by a doctor, the doctor found internal injuries. We understand that the 4 police officers were originally charged with rape following this incident on Thursday. The Interior Ministry here in France has said that an investigation is underway, and if these allegations are proven, then the appropriate penalties will be applied to the police officers. All 4 officers have been suspended pending that investigation. However, over the weekend, 3 of the officers had their charges downgraded. 1 is facing a charge of alleged rape and 3 others alleged voluntary violence. Now, this has caused anger in the area where the man was stopped and searched and where this incident took place in the suburb of Paris. And these tensions have actually led to people coming out to the streets in this commune of around 3,000 people. And there were some reports of cars being burnt in the area over the weekend, so much so that riot police were deployed to the area on Sunday. Many people are now taking to social media to show their support for the 22-year-old who alleged that he was sexually assaulted by the police, and it's now trending here in France with the hashtag Justice for Theo.
Donald Trump has said he respects the Russian President Vladimir Putin. He said that in an interview on the Fox News Channel.
Do you respect Putin?
I do respect him.
Do you? Why?
Well, I respect a lot of people, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get along with them.
Putin's a killer.
A lot of killers. We got a lot of killers. Why, you think our country's so innocent?
However, the comment Trump made about his Russian counterpart has led to a backlash now from Western media.
This is seemingly the President of the United States standing up for Vladimir Putin.
A president speaks with a moral voice when he's re-engaging the country. He suggested that America was on the equivalent par with somebody who was a killer.
Another day, another anxiety attack. So what did he say this time? Well, in a Fox interview, Trump said he respected the Russian president and stopped the press. It's not just Russia who's the baddie.
I do respect him.
Do you? Why?
Well, I respect a lot of people, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get along with them.
Putin's a killer.
A lot of killers. We got a lot of killers. Why, you think our country's so innocent? Do you think our country's so innocent?
I don't know of any government leaders that are killers anymore.
Well, take a look at what we've done, too. We've made a lot of mistakes. I've been against the war in Iraq from the beginning.
Yeah, mistakes are different than...
A lot of mistakes, okay, but a lot of people were killed.
This short clip resulted in pandemonium in the media. Did he really just compare the US to big bad Russia? Wait, does he have a point?
Clear. Come on. Clear.
I asked Obama to bring my dad back to life.
For the self-proclaimed greatest country in the world, this could all be a hard pill to swallow. But apparently, that's not the heart of the matter. What Trump said is so despicable because, well, America is just different, right?
I'm trying to imagine your response if President Obama had defended the murderous reign of Putin by saying, you think our country's so innocent?
Well, look, I'm not going to critique the president's every utterance, but I do think America is exceptional. America is different. We don't operate in any way the way the Russians do. I think there's a clear distinction here.
Donald Trump's probably making a statement of fact there. The United States does not have clean hands, especially around the world. I cannot count how many governments the United States or the CIA has overthrown. And if you count the amount of people that Barack Obama killed by drones just in the last 4 years, it's mind-boggling. So for the media to act all holier than thou and acrimonious, or Bill O'Reilly to be somehow on a pedestal, you know, debasing Donald Trump for making the offhanded reply that he did, I think it's completely ridiculous.
So once again, President Trump said something people don't want to hear. Although that looks like something we're just going to have to get used to. But what about the things that people do want to hear, like defeating ISIL, even if it takes working with Russia? Now, surely that's worth a headline or two.
I don't understand the demonization of Russia when it comes to us working together to further mutual goals. I'm not sure exactly why that doesn't make sense. Again, to go back to the Democrats, go back to the left, and their accusations of against the right, saying that we don't want to work with our allies or even not work with our enemies, when they're so willing to work with our enemies. I don't know why they would be so upset that we would look to work with Russia. Let's not forget that it was Barack Obama who had famously and laughably that reset button. I think we do want to work toward a positive relationship. I don't know why that's a problem. I don't know why they're all aghast at that, to be honest.
Back to that interview on Fox, Moscow's reacted to that, saying it expects an apology now from that news channel for Bill Riley calling Vladimir Putin a killer.
We consider the statements made by a Fox News correspondent unacceptable and offensive. Of course, we'd prefer to get an apology addressed to the Russian president from such a respected company as Fox News.
Meantime, in the interview, Donald Trump also said he's considering withholding federal funds now from California if it continues to make official moves to become a sanctuary state for illegal immigrants. Lawmakers there are pushing for a bill that would establish sanctuary for over 2 million people already living there. Riots broke out too at the University of California, Berkeley last week over a speech against so-called sanctuary campuses meant to protect undocumented immigrant students. Meantime, other developments, authorities over in San Francisco say they've written a letter to Homeland Security saying they've got no intention of complying with the president's executive orders on immigration. And a petition seeking California's independence, in fact, from the rest of the U.S. has seen a surge in signatories since Trump took office.
We must prepare for very uncertain times and reaffirm the basic principles that have made California the great exception that it is.
Maybe the row over California is another indicator of the current division in the U.S. President Trump still facing resistance over that executive order that he signed on January the 27th, temporarily banning the entry of people from 7 predominantly Muslim countries. That order is currently blocked by a judge, much to the ire of Trump. As you can see here, not everyone's against the president. These pictures from New York, you're seeing supporters and opponents of Trump facing off in front of Trump Tower.
We do not agree with racism. We do not agree with anti-gays. We do not agree with discrimination.
I haven't always agreed with a lot of things he said or even some of his policies, but I see where the country is right now, and we're so divided, and I see the Democrats as the biggest dividers in the world. Despite how colorful and the things he says, I still believe that he's really the one person who could make some serious change in this country.
For more thoughts on what's to come, the Trump administration's view for the future is up discussion too in Sophie & Co., the latest show from Sophie Shevardnadze. In fact, she's speaking to a former Wall Street banker. He's also the author of the best-selling book House of Cards. He's William D. Cohen. We invite you to stay with us for that if it's on in your part of the world. If it's not, in around about 20 minutes' time, you can catch it anytime you like at RT.com. It's streaming there.
We went from 8 years where businessmen were sort of persona non grata in Washington to complete change in that picture where businessmen seem to have a more of a welcoming opportunity in Washington. They can seem to be invited every other day to meet with President Trump. So I think basically that portends good things for job growth, increased profitability for companies, and general increase in people's wealth and well-being. So I think it has the potential to be very positive, but we'll just have to wait and see what the details are.
Next, tracking a story happening today. Crowds just a bit earlier, these pictures from gathering outside a court in Barcelona Monday as the former Catalan president Artur Mas has gone on trial. He's charged with civil disobedience and misconduct for organising that symbolic independence referendum for the region back in 2014. Well, that vote went ahead in defiance of a court order. Thousands of people turned out in support of the former leader, chanting slogans like "Democracy is not a crime" and "Independence." While he's not facing prison time here, prosecutors do want him banned from public service for up to 10 years if they get their way. Mas, for his part, refuses to accept any wrongdoing.
We acted according to our governing duty. We obeyed our democratic vocation. We defended our democratic roots, not independence necessarily, but our democracy, which means voting.
So, as we mentioned there, the Spanish region of Catalonia held that non-binding referendum a couple of years back, 3 years ago. Back then, Catalans were asked whether or not they thought the region should be a state, and if so, whether it should be independent from Madrid. There were the questions. Out of 2.3 million people who voted, it was a huge turnout there. Over 80% said yes to both questions. But the referendum was deemed illegal by the national government, maybe not surprisingly. It argued Spain's constitution does not allow regions to unilaterally make decisions that affect the whole country. We got a view on that then from a spokesperson from the European Partnership for Independence. She's Anna Ark. She says democracy today is being put to trial.
Just to underline that in 2014, the Catalan government did not hold a referendum. It was just a consultation, a process of participation. And of course, any Democrat could not consider legitimate to put democracy on trial. We are completely surprised to see how low level of democratic system the Spanish state is acting. It's not legitimate, of course.
Spain has vowed to use all legal means at its disposal to prevent Catalonia from holding this second independence referendum scheduled for later this year. And according to a report online now by the news site El Mundo, the Spanish government's got drastic plans to deal with Catalonia if the region does take any more steps to push for independence, something that Madrid thinks is illegal. It claims Madrid, first off, will close polling booths and also seek to take control of the local police. That's something that's normally overseen by the local Catalan government, so taking power away. The measures will also reportedly include payment cuts to civil servants if they refuse to take orders from Madrid. Anna Ark again believes the planned measures will show Madrid's policies as being contrary to the region's wishes, basically.
Well, it looks like this is what they are saying from the Spanish state, but obviously there's no way we can know what the Spanish state will end up doing. What it's for sure is that if they end up with any of these blocking measures, the ones that are going to be alone facing themselves the shame of putting themselves in the international scenario as a non-democratic state is the Spanish state. We don't think we're going to be alone in any way, because we know our rights and we are determined to defend them. We know we are a Catalan people. We have the right to ask ourselves whether or not we want independence of our country.
We'll keep track of that for you. A lot more to come. You can stay with us. Locals in the German city of Leipzig are worried about the construction of a refugee shelter on their doorstep. So much they've built a wall, albeit a smallish one. We'll tell you all about it after the break.
Just because the Justice Department in the United States failed to hold people accountable for what they did wrong on Wall Street doesn't mean that everybody on Wall Street is evil and that everything that Wall Street does is evil. And it's not right for Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton and even Donald Trump to say that people on Wall Street are evil.
Easy, right or wrong, but I definitely think sanctions are better than conflict.
You don't perform for diplomatic reasons. You perform for humanitarian ways.
I'm talking obviously about Edward Snowden.
I believe he's a hero. I believe he's coming directly from his heart.
Again. So in the German city of Leipzig, locals fearing for their security now appear to have taken a bit of a leaf out of Donald Trump's book. Residents of one apartment complex have put up, a fence, a wall, a fence, because a refugee shelter is being built across the street from them. Another modest, metre and a half high. It wasn't cheap, cost around 20,000 euros. They must feel strongly about this. Building fences and walls has been an approach, of course, adopted by many across Europe of late as the continent struggles still with a huge influx of migrants. We spoke to a member of the group against the perceived Islamization of Europe and also a political commentator about the implications of this Leipzig wall here.
Even when you're looking at this fence, it's only 1 meter 60 high. This wouldn't be enough of protection.
Build a wall up against people that they perceive as being dangerous just because they are of a different culture or a different country. It's really sad to see that.
In Germany, there are parts of the cities where the state no longer exists, where you have Arab mafia clans controlling everything. When you have this situation of mass violence, when you have all these problems with Islamization and also already terrorist plots committed by so-called refugees, I think the only solution is to close the borders now and then look for policies to actually solve the problems of mass migration inside Germany.
Everybody is human, and what we have here is people who are in a terrible situation, fleeing their home and fleeing possible death and fleeing perhaps some terrible scenes that they were witnesses to.
Most of them are not refugees or are coming to to Germany because of social benefits, and yeah, therefore they also a lot of them have a view on German people, like on people you have to conquer, on people you have to subjugate.
Building a wall is an expensive thing. Maybe that same money should be invested in organizing meetings, organizing dinners, organizing, you know, big soup fests, having interpreters come and allow these people to talk to each other.
And also you had the events in Cologne, and also this year there have been, again, rapes. There have been people burning churches and attacking German civilians on the streets. It is now more important to guarantee the security of the German people, the security of Germany's citizens, and not to think about strange ideals.
Elsewhere in Europe, refugees have scuffled with police at a camp in the Greek capital Athens as they protest over their poor living conditions. Demonstrators tried to prevent the Minister for Migration Policy from entering that facility, which houses over 1,600 migrants and refugees. Many at that camp are reportedly also now on hunger strike. Greece has been struggling with a huge inflow of migrants for several years now, as has been well documented. It's repeatedly asked for EU support to relocate them. In other developments, Marine Le Pen, the niece of France's National Front leader, has been speaking exclusively to RT, to us. The politician claims the party is the only one, which has a chance of winning this year's presidential election, that could bring about serious change.
For now, we are the only power in French politics that is pushing forward the sovereign project, based on Europe that is formed of national sovereign states. There are no other candidates that support this project and have the potential opportunity to even get through the first round.
Meantime, the leader of the party, Marine Le Pen, was met with cheers as she outlined her key policies at a rally in Lyon. She's pledging a so-called Frexit, a referendum on France's membership of the European Union within half a year if she was to be elected president.
As a president, I will announce a referendum on the membership of the European Union in 6 months. I will discuss with our European partners the renegotiation of France's position in the Union. The EU is a failure which has kept none of its promises, particularly in the spheres of prosperity and security. This system chains us, does not function, and what's worse, ruins our society. We are going to apply a procedure according to which an illegal immigrant can never be legalized and certainly not naturalized. An outlaw situation cannot be regulated by law. When a person is inspired to settle in a country, one does not begin by violating laws.
So what are her chances? Will recent election polls show Marine Le Pen in the lead? Francois Fillon sits in second place, while independent candidate and former socialist Emmanuel Macron's third. His recent rally was maybe surprising in its similarities to Le Pen's. You listen to some of what he had to say, as well indeed as the other independent candidate now running for president, Jean-Luc Mélenchon.
We can no longer defend a political system that weakens democracy every day. We can no longer praise the European project without proposing at the same time another vision of Europe. I refuse to accept that a man in the name of religion can refuse to shake the hand of a woman.
We do not want to go to war with Russia. The Russians are our partners. Defensive Europe is the Europe of war, and we stand for a peaceful Europe. France will not accommodate any military action.
We spoke exclusively to members of the National Front who indeed say mainstream politicians, it seems, are trying to emulate their party's policies to win votes.
I think that in every election campaign, the right and the left are trying to use the views of the National Front. Nicolas Sarkozy did it in 2007, but when he came to power, he did the opposite to what he pledged. It seems like in every campaign, the absolute disoriented right and left use our ideas in order to be elected. But the French people know that these people won't do anything.
It's a huge talent of Macron to create his imitation based on nothing that actually represents his program. This is a real marketing product. I sincerely believe that this won't help him to win votes.
Variety of programmes coming up. As promised, up next on RT International, former Wall Street banker William D. Cohen discusses Trump's view of the future and how that's going to turn out as he sees it with Sophie Shevardnadze. If you're in the UK or Ireland, different programme for you. You've got a great Going Underground show coming up, speaking to the former MI5 officer there about the dangers of Trump receiving fake intelligence. And of course, if you want to watch the first programme and in the UK, you can catch that online, as we said too.